Say again?
When you play the finals of an event, what's your favorite color? What do you like to wear?
Yeah, it's important. I mean, you gotta walk the walk. You gotta feeling good, looking good. What was that thing? Lewis.
Looking good, Billy Ray.
That's right.
No, looking good, Lewis. Feeling good, Billy Ray.
There you go. No, I agree. I think that. Well, I've always had this thought. When I was at the Cal Club in San Francisco, there was one guy who was really, I mean, he was a flashy player, but he was kind of inconsistent, and he would get frustrated because he couldn't ding everything like he wanted to, but he looked great out there. The collar was up, and this dude shall not be named publicly here, but that was back in the day when I just wore all white. Everything was all white, and maybe it's because I was working there and I felt I should be somewhat traditional. Right. The California Tennis Club, the oldest club west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, you got to go with tradition there.
Yeah, I think it was built in 1884. Yeah, why not go tradition? Anyway, so I finally told this guy, I said, look, man, I think the reason you're inconsistent is look at what you're wearing. You've got the flashy Adidas shirt and the shorts and the shoes. You are like Hollywood. Come on. You need to start wearing all white, and I think you'll play better. He didn't really buy it. He didn't buy it. So
he didn't take your advice?
No, he didn't take my advice. So anyway, so there you have it. So guys, listen, thanks for hanging out with me and Jeff again today. Another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. You can catch us on YouTube. You get the video version there, or you can iTunes audio version, or there are other audio sources as well, depending on the type of hardware that you've got. Yeah, it's anyway, hold on for a second. I can't see you, darn it. And just that little oh God, there you are. Okay. Anyway, what was I thinking? So guys,
your eyes.
If you'd like to get on a free coaching call with the two of us, these two chuckleheads, you can do that. It's private, it's free, but you got to bring that, and it's only 10 minutes, but you got to bring that one thing in your game right now that you're struggling with. And Jeff and I want to help you solve it, put you in the path to getting that result that you eventually want. The way to get onto that free private coaching call, go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in your first name, then drop in an email address, then click the button, and then you'll get access to our online calendar scheduler where you get to cherry pick the date and time that works best for you. So I got this thing I want to ask you that every time I ask people about this, they do the opposite of what I do, which sometimes makes me feel good, and other times makes me go, I kind of go, God, well, what's wrong with me on this thing? What? Don't answer, because there are a lot of things. I know. You could go on a 2-hour podcast listing all the things wrong with me.
That's right. Guess what I'm doing the rest of the day? I'm video recording the list.
So look, I have always struggled in practice matches or practice sets, finding the same clarity, the same mindset that I find when I play a match that counts, right? Where it's either a league or a tournament where the results actually get made public somehow.
Right.
And for some reason, once I get onto the court for that match, the real match, I mean, it's like, whoa, it's like this clarity just comes in, and it's, like my tinnitus just goes away, and it's totally clear. But when I'm in the practice court, it's like I can't get anywhere near that. And I'm not sure what it is, if it's I've always thought, well, maybe I concentrate so much in a match that I just don't have the energy to put out, the effort to do it in practice. But I do know, I think that if I could find that clarity for practice and care that much in practice like I do in a real deal, I might play a little better. I don't know. What do you think?
I think that's a really valid and it's a good point. I think most of the time we talk about the other direction. Practice, we're kind of loose, we're kind of this. It doesn't count, so we tend to play better and blah blah blah. I always found when I was doing drill work that I never felt like I was really striking the ball really like where I thought I should be in practice. Close, but I never really felt like. I felt it wasn't that I didn't feel confident in what I was doing, but I always felt like there was a little bit more room that I could strike the ball a little better. And then in matches I would, and I think it really speaks to what you just said is that in a match there's elevated focus, there's elevated concentration, there's elevated purpose. We've decided that it counts, for something, and so I think, and this is, I hope this isn't off the subject, but I think it, as we're talking to the league players, national players, that when you watch a match, you watch a Fed, whatever, whoever, and you notice that on the dead run, Rafa bends the thing around the post, and and Fed hits the inside out, forehand, and just like. And it seems like he does it all the time, right? It seems we have this like kind of blurred vision, like they do it all the time, or why doesn't he just hit that shot all the time, right? And I think it's, from my own experience, on a dead run, guy hits a wide forehand, I'm, out in the alley maybe hitting this ball, and I hit the dinger down the line, hook it in, and it's just lands on the line or 2 inches inside. And I think the difference is that, we're in this elevated state of activity, elevated state of concentration. Emotionally, we're in an elevated state. And so, we're running down this ball and it's all those things are elevating. And so you have this incredibly focused, moment on this one task.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And so you hit this ball and you hit this dinger and it's this unbelievable shot and it's gold, right? But to live in that elevated space, that elevated point of concentration is even beyond what you're talking about. Just in general, tournament matches where everything's heightened. I think it's very difficult to kind of manufacture that in a practice situation.
Well, look, I mean, you look at the great John Wooden, and Wooden always felt like, you're gonna play in the games the way that you practice, so that you have to practice. And we've talked about this. You got to practice with a purpose, and sometimes the purpose could be, hey, I need to work out this one little cue, let's say, on one of your strokes, right? Well, that's obviously the time to work on it in practice. Right. But I think also that I found now is that I need to practice what's the mindset that I want to have after the end of every point, where I can get sloppy in a practice thing and start yakking to the guy and go, just make some kind of just a funny comment or a fun comment or whatever. And some guys will engage. There's another guy I play out in the desert who, I mean, he's all business. And I can say I'm pretty sure it's funny, and I'm pretty sure it's funny, and he's just like nothing. And so, actually, I love practicing with the guy now because I now know that he's not going to engage with me, and he's not being a jerk about it. He's practicing how he wants to play in a match, and he's. So it's kind of good for me to not have that guy over there that gives me the excuse to kind of screw around in practice. So
take it lightly. Right.
So all the advice that I always hear, which is well, you're going to play in a match how you practice. So you better get serious in your practice sets. And I guess I'm now sort of intellectually working through that reason, and now I'm kind of going, maybe I should do more with that. I mean, even if I don't do it, if I go out there and I play 3 sets with some guy, I don't necessarily have to go all 3 sets, but I could take one set and just go, okay, we're just going to shut up for this one set, no matter what he says. And if he says something, say, hey, let's both go for a set and not engage. And he'll, yeah, cool,
Right.
that's fine. So I think in
Right.
practice,
Yeah,
I think it's in practice. It's easy to get lazy,
very.
and for me, it's also it's also been tough to bring that kind of focus and concentration because I do have a limited capacity. So
Limited capacity in the cabeza.
that's right. That's a good one. I need to write that down. Go ahead and say something as I'm writing this down.
Well, I think it's one of those things that, again, another blind spot is players tend to practice in their focus. They're so focused on trying to win that they're really not practicing anything. There's a discipline to it and there's a focus to it, and you have to have a task that match, or every time I serve, I'm going to do this. In my return game during this set, I'm going to do this. When I'm serving, I'm going to work on this. Be it patterns or I'm going to see about just chipping my backhand return today. The whole set, I'm just going to chip my backhand return because that's been causing me problems. So I'm just going to do that for a whole set. Great idea.
Yeah, right.
But I think again, our ego and pride is just a huge blind. It just creates the steel barrier from seeing the reality of actually working on something and not giving a crap if you lose a practice set because I'm working on this stuff,
right.
And so we've talked about that before, and that challenge is the biggest, and so you can practice. What's the word I was looking at? You can practice competing, and that's that grit, that grind in every point, staying focused, and that doesn't mean we're trying to hit winners everywhere. It just means we're going to compete, meaning every ball gets an effort today in this one set. Every ball is going to get at least one step out of the gate before I make my assessment whether I think I can get there or not. I'm going to make the initial move, make the 1 or 2 steps out of the gate, and then I'll decide. But every ball is going to get an effort today.
Yeah.
And you just focus on that.
Yeah.
And again, don't give a crap about whether you win the point or not, because you may find that if you just focus on that, you may end up seeing this little pile of points build up over here on the side just as the outcome of you just staying focused on that one task.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, I think that a lot of players get into the real matches, and they, the podcast that we did recently, I'm not sure when it came out, but we talked about how do you stop living in the future in your matches, and I think you have to practice that. You have to practice.
Yes.
What's the feeling of not caring what the end result of the score is going to be? Because if you do, then you're living in the future too much, and you can't bring out your best tennis. So I do believe that you have to practice that mindset, that feeling. One of the things I like to do, Jeff, is I'll say, today I'm going to do nothing more than I'm going to hustle so much that by the end of this thing, I'm going to be just exhausted. I want to feel like not only am I going to sort of bring that grit and that determination and that kind of fire in the belly, but to me, it's like, hey, this is a fitness opportunity for me today. This is an opportunity for me to get quicker, to get better endurance, and it has nothing to do with the outcome of when we walk off the court and go up in the clubhouse and Joel Drucker says, hey, how'd you guys do? What was the score?
Right.
And by the way, that's one of his pet peeves is someone says, hey, what was the score? And I know we're doing a recording. We're doing an interview with him in just a couple hours here, but I think way too. I just think that we think so much about that we
about
never practice that freedom in practice. Where guys, gals, the only way you can make this feel like it counts in practice is if you put some kind of social status attached to it, where and I mean, I've got a couple guys who I play against, and if we stay back on the baseline, I'm going to go through them. I'm going to go through them pretty easy. So sometimes I'll say, look, why don't you play one set, just one set today, just pure serve and volley. And let's just kind of see what happens.
Right.
So for the first game, they come out, they play serve and volley, and maybe they lose the game. Done. It is done.
Right.
They're going to sit back and just, I mean, I'm watching this and I'm going, what are you doing? Come on.
Right.
So, all right.
Yeah.
Well, good stuff. Listen, guys, hope you got something out of today's episode, Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us again. And Jeff and I are offering, as we mentioned at the beginning of the episode today, a free private coaching call, 10-minute coaching call. Yeah, we usually go a little bit over 10 minutes. Big deal. If we have to over-deliver, sorry. That's just kind of how we roll. But we want to get, if you got one thing in your game that is really you're struggling with, and whether you're a do-it-yourselfer trying to teach yourself how to play the game, or you got a pro and you guys aren't quite getting organized on that one thing, let's get on that call. Again, it's free, it's private, and let's see if Jeff and I can't put you on the path to getting the result that you eventually want. The way to get on the call, go over to goldballhunting.com, first name, email, address, and then click the button. You get access to our online calendar scheduler. If you're already on our email list, any email you get from us, somewhere in the email, there's a link. Click it. Go over. Get signed up for this thing. Free. That's not bad. Private. That's not bad.
Not bad.
And you might get something out of it. Not too bad either. So anyway, so that's the deal. Jeffrey, what would we like the fine folks to do right now?
Like us, share us, please subscribe. Let us know what you think down below.
Good, and we're really serious about the comments. Not only does it help us with the reach, finding more tennis players out there, YouTube gives us love when there's comments in terms of the search engine results over YouTube, as does iTunes and the other audio platforms. So not only leave us a rating, but leave us a comment or question, which we are very good about responding to. Maybe not every 22 minutes, but probably every day.
I'm trying to. I'm henpecking in there right now. I'm finally getting organized enough. Some of you may have noticed that I'm trying to get back in there. It's been a little busy for me, but I'm doing my best.
I think we understand. I think you got a good excuse there. So, all right, guys, get out there today. Help someone else have a spectacular day. Jeff, what about? Let's try and do this again tomorrow.
Okay, or how about in a couple hours?
That too.